Alright, for today's Best of 2023 episode, we have a quickie for the best building style games of the year, with all the logistics, automation, and setting up supply chains as one can imagine. Since we're doing another kind of niche category, there won't be any runner-ups for this episode. Also, early access games do not count, so unfortunately still no award to Dyson Sphere program, for whatever year it will come out. The first game on the list I want to mention is Atrio. This was a kind of logistics meets like Eldritch Machine horror style game. Very great and original aesthetic and theme for it, where instead of using conveyor belts, gears, cogs, and all that, you'll be using blood, organs you gather from characters, creating fuels and juices and all that, in order to bring back a weirdly disturbing world that is run by powerful machines. Of the games of this category this year, this is the most kind of like story-driven or more, I guess, like linear style of the builders, but it works well for this one. What kind of hurts is that it can still feel a little bit odd in terms of its structure. There's a greater emphasis on combat, by the fact you have to defend specific points, build kind of defensive tools, and whatnot. But if you're a building automation kind of fan, you're looking for something that's a little bit, or in this case, a lot different from the norm, then this is a solid recommendation. Now for something that is on the complete opposite end of the spectrum in terms of a tone and oddness, we turn to Novalands. This is kind of like I would say a cross between a Factorial-like and something like Forager. That it is not the most in-depth or complicated logistics-style building game that we've seen, but it works by being a very approachable option for people looking for kind of a easier take to get into. You are trying to rebuild your spaceship, which is of course the theme of a lot of these games, but helping you this time are some of the most helpful logistics droids one can imagine, who will love to move all your goods to and fro and to, refining, producing, upgrading. There is combat in this one, but there are ways to circumvent and even skip the boss fights. Again, this is not the builder style game that you're looking for, like a super advanced challenge. But if you're trying to get someone into the genre or trying to find a really solid kind of first timer game, then this is an easy recommendation. We switch from logistics building to environmental building for Terra. This was a game that, after we tried out the itch.io kind of free demo of it, it certainly had a lot of potential, and publishers like Devolver certainly saw that, and the game got a big budget kind of full release this year. So this one, it kind of is a bit of an unusual take, as you're not so much building cities or building automation, you're just trying to build the environment back, with each area kind of being procedurally generated, and it kind of is like a building environmental puzzle, as every structure you build has different rules for how it interacts with the environment and the other structures on the map. So you have to kind of think 3 to 4 steps ahead in terms of where you'll place things, to then reclaim them later on, to hopefully drive your environmental score up and up and up. I enjoyed this one. It is one of those games I think you'll either really get into it, or you really will just kind of get tired of it. Another one if you're looking for something very different to play, and I love the aesthetics and art style for it. So, if you're in the mood to make the Earth green, then this is a really solid builder worth checking out. For our last two entries, we're switching from automation building and logistics to good old-fashioned city building. First up is Steamworld Build. The game combines a kind of like economics management of, say, Anno with a dungeon carving, tower defense-like of Dungeon Keeper. While the game does not go as far in terms of depth and complexity as those two games, it is a very attractive package and very approachable if you're once again like new to this whole style of gameplay. And I love all the Steamworld games. Whenever we see these kinds of different genre takes on it, I will be here for the next Steamworld whatever. So if you're looking for yet another really solid kind of like first timer or entry level take, this time with kind of the city building or economics building, then this is a really great recommendation for you. And we have to have at least one very involved and in-depth game for the list, and that is going to Against the Storm. This one has been early access what seems like forever now, but it finally released at the end of 2023, and this is a phenomenal take on city building meets roguelite, as you must use randomly chosen upgrade structures and whatnot in order to build a functional settlement in different areas, complete with their own environmental and weather hazards, major and minor threats when you uncover them in the glades, and keeping your various species of people happy, fed, and not wanting to throw you out because you forgot to lay up the bonfire during the rainy seasons. This is a very involved take on the genre. The roguelite elements certainly put this above and beyond. As you complete or fail your different settlements, you'll gain resources that you can use to unlock new constructions and structures on future maps, new elements for the gameplay, and moving the kind of overall grand meta story forward. This one is certainly not for beginners. While it doesn't kind of throw you really into the woods like a Banished, it is still a very involved game. And if those other games I mentioned in today's video were considered too late or too easy for you, then Against the Storm is certainly going to be the challenging building style game for you for this year. And that wraps up for another episode of the Best of Lists. Were there any kind of building, automation, city style games that I missed this year that did actually come out, not counting those in early access? Let me know in the comments down below, and we'll be back tomorrow for yet another part of this never-ending look at the best of 2023. That's going to do it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to do the YouTubing stuff people tell you to do. If you're interested in more of my thoughts on design, check out my books wherever they are sold. Visit our Discord and Patreon, and come back for discussions on game design here, and on game wisdom, where you some of the art and science of games.